Well, this is what I believe is the 18th annual Fine Arts Recital here at Illiana Christian High School. It's an event that began, I believe my first year of teaching. Trinity Christian College used to put on a Fine Arts Festival of the local Christian schools, and they stopped doing that my very first year of teaching. So myself and a colleague, Mr. Bill Bowman Cornell, Dr. Bill Bowman Cornell now, decided that we needed to showcase some students' talents and abilities and gifts. So we created the recital. It started out very small, just a few kids involved and a few families in attendance, and it's really grown over the years. Last year, I think we set up close to 70 chairs here in the dining room, and we ended up having to add a few more rows before the evening was over. So we think we've prepared a little better this year. We've got a few more rows set up, and we hope we fill those and have to add even more.
Kaylee, could you tell me about your photographic piece at the Illiana Arts Festival?
Well, I took this photo with my camera, and well, it's a chalkboard in my basement, and I was writing for working on a poem, and I just write down the words that come to my mind, and then I decided that it kind of looked cool, so I thought that I would take a picture of it, and I took a picture of it, and I did a couple tweaks and edited a little bit, and then put it in black and white, and well, that was my photo. I love the Fine Arts Festival that we have here at Illiana because it's a chance to express who you are and show people how much work gets put into what I like to do.
Well, it's a painting of the 1950s where I actually drew myself and a few friends standing in a drive-in or watching a movie. I always liked older things, old-fashioned things like the 1950s and so on, just like the feel of it and the sort of old-fashioned look to it.
The Illiana couple is a strange species, ranging from the awkward freshman couple to the adorable senior couple. Some couples prefer not to even hold hands in public, while others, sadly, feel comfortable playing tonsil toss in front of the entire school. Within this species, there are several subspecies. Let's observe their mating rituals. I walk into school on a Tuesday morning, worrying about how I will do on my first period honors English test. I make my way past Mr. DeVries' classroom, then the band room, coming up to my locker in front of Mr. Sylvester's room, when I see them, the couple. According to my notes, we have found the common tongue tossers. They are leaning on my locker, about to round second base. I slow my approach, hoping they will see me and leave. Of course they won't. They slither over an inch or two so that I can open my locker. I wiggle past to stow my backpack away, and they begin whispering to each other about how in love they are. They then commence making out again as I scour my locker for a pencil sharp enough to gouge out my eyes. If this couple wants to display their affection so publicly, perhaps I should bring some popcorn and a group of friends to sit and watch. As I walk through the industrial arts hallway at break, I hear the distinct call of the subspecies, the Egris beaverus. I spot a freshman pair discussing what they are going to name their children. Of course, the only children that teens ought to be thinking about naming right now are Sour Patch Kids. Such behavior is normal for this species that seems to be incapable of dealing with either the present or the future with much accuracy. Before sixth period, I observe the Scientium flirtus, commonly called the thirsty flirts, at their watering hole. I wait to fill my water bottle for nearly 3 minutes, watching as they giggle and splash each other, either oblivious or indifferent to the fact that there is a line of students thirsty for water behind them. As I leave school, excited to finally eat, I spot the rare carburetor canoodlers making out on the hood of a car that I can only hope belongs to one of them. As I walk past, they glare at me, annoyed that I have invaded their very private and intimate moment by attempting to leave school. When I arrive home after a long day of avoiding eye contact and social interaction, I check my social media sites, a common place to spot the eat each other's Facebookers. After logging into Twitter, I see a conversation between clingy and overprotective, a match made in heaven. They are discussing how their 3-week relationship has completely changed them and opened their eyes to a world of love. I laugh so hard that I scare away my cat. I then check Instagram to make sure the Insta couple is still together. My newsfeed is full of photos of the two Frenching with Taylor Swift lyrics as captions. #please stop. Yes, all these subspecies are discoveries that I've made over the last few years, and I would love to say that they fascinate me, but they don't. In fact, this is one species that I would love to see go extinct.
I did a acrylic cubist painting landscape and with acrylic paint, and it took about a month or so to do it, with blending all the colors together and drawing it out. Its title is 42. It's in Roman numerals, but it's based off of the Psalm 42 as the deer panteth for the water. Well, blending all the colors together was a bit of a tough challenge with a small brush, and took a lot of time to do it.
One of the pieces I did was called Dreaming in Color, and it's like a combination of graphite, ink, and mostly watercolor. And it took me a while to put together. It was originally supposed to be like completely watercolor, but then I decided that doing the black and white portion of it was a bit too hard with watercolor, so I just did it with pencil, and then I kind of just did everything else with watercolor and watercolor pencils. And I try to put like as much like romanticism into the piece as possible.
Romeo and Juliet. Now, there is a real thing. It's a story about how this boy and girl fell in love with one another. Don't you see? It is. And everything would have been all right for them, except their daddies didn't get along. They didn't. And when the play opens, Juliet's daddy is throwing this big fancy dress ball, and he invited the whole town to be there. But he didn't invite none of Romeo's people to come, and his buddies learned of it, and they put him up to slipping on a costume and slipping in at that party, and he was a spunky kind of boy, and he done it. Romeo and Juliet, as told by Andy Griffith. He done it, and everything was going good, till all of a sudden, this girl, Juliet, come down the stairs, and he was so struck by her that he give a soliloquy right there. And it wasn't about being or not being, it was about doing or not doing. Well, the do's, they won out over the don'ts. So what he done, he grabbed Juliet by the hand, and he begun to take her out of the yard, and we'll never know what it was they was going to do out there. We won't, because this fella, Tybalt, recognized Romeo for who he was, and come up on him and tried to pick a fight. But Juliet's daddy, he didn't want no bloodshed right there in his living room, so all he done, he run Romeo off. But Romeo didn't go straight home. No, he didn't. He went out and hid in the yard till everybody left the party. When they all went, he popped up and looked around. And he seen this light coming from way off yonder. And he said to himself, he said, "Hark!" He said, "What lights by yonder window shine?" And let me tell you, Juliet stepped out onto this stoop, and she gave a soliloquy. And somewhere in it, friends, somewhere in it, she said, "Romeo, Romeo." She said, "Wherefore art thou, Romeo?" And he popped up and said, "I'm right here." Well, just so happened there was this great big pea vine growing up to where she was a-standing, so he climbed up it. He climbed up it, and that's where they had that balcony scene. And they had been up there but a few minutes till he asked her to marry him, which shows he was an honorable boy about all. Well, she says, "When?" Well, he says, "Now," which shows he wasn't up there for no light courting. He wanted to get on with it. Back then, the reason that everybody lived in castles was that there was so many of them to put up at night. Well, there were so many of them there that they had to keep a preacher on duty them up, told them what it was they wanted to do, and he thought it was all right, so he married them right there. But then, don't you see, it was a question of where they was to spend the night, things being how they was and all. And so Friar Lawrence told Romeo he ought to go on home that night. And Romeo, he didn't take to it too hot. He didn't. He didn't, but he did. He went on home. And then he figured he ought to lay low for a while till things cooled off. And while he was gone, Juliet's mama took a great notion that she ought to get married. And then she was in a bind because she didn't want two husbands. She figured Romeo would be enough to take care of by himself. And so she went back down to Friar Lawrence to see what she ought to do. He mixed up a drink. She drunk it and fell out across the bed there. And everybody thought she was dead. They had this big, pretty funeral and laid her out in the family tomb and all. And before Friar Lawrence could get word to Romeo that she wasn't dead, some of those mean boys in town told him that she was dead. And he figured life didn't hold nothing for him. So he went out and got himself a big Carolina drink. He went to the tomb, opened the door, and said, "Oh, my love, oh, my wife." He went in, drunk alive, and kissed her, and said, "With this kiss I die," and fell out across the there. But Romeo, he was a big boy for his age. He was, and the impact of him falling on her woke Juliet right up. She woke up, didn't know what was going on, and saw Romeo was lying dead. And she figured life didn't hold nothing for her. So she took his knife, run it through herself, and she expired. She did, friends, and the moral of it all is, if you have a boy that courts a girl that you don't like, or other way around, if you don't want the expense of a double funeral on you, the best thing to do is let him have a cheap wedding. Thank you.
I watch him. He's sitting at the cheap wooden table watching TV. He nods his head, and I pour him another glass, listening as the ice cubes crackle and hit the empty bottle. I've lost count of how much he drank this week. I pour the rest of the contents of the glass bottle into his. His lids are fluttering, and he is close to the breaking point. I walk to the kitchen sink, my thoughts screaming louder than the television behind me, where the news blares depressing stories. I reach under the cabinet for another bottle, but we're out. Panic rises in my chest. I swallow it down. I open the fridge, scanning the shelves for another bottle. Anything. We're all out. I have to maintain my composure, or he'll be angry. I walk down the hall of our worn-out three-room house, passing the bathroom and heading straight towards our room. As I open the door, I pass my 7-year-old daughter, Meredith, sitting on the floor, coloring with broken crayons. She glances up and notices my panic. More, she questions. I nod, averting my eyes. My daughter shouldn't have to worry about this. I cross to the bedside table, reaching for the weathered, worn copy of Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens. I open the dog-eared book, flipping through the pages, until I come across a $10 bill. Setting the book back on the table, I turn to face Meredith and tell her, "I'll be back. I'll always be back. Stay here." With a kiss planted on her cheek, I walk away, leaving my daughter to color with broken crayons. I shut the bedroom door behind me, dig in my purse for the keys, and then I lock my daughter inside the bedroom. I wiggle the handle. She's safely locked away. I lean against the door and whisper, "Bye, Meredith. It's locked. Stay safe." I walk back down the hall, maneuvering around boxes and forgotten items. I saunter past my intoxicated husband, glancing at the remainder in his glass. I need to hurry. He's almost done. I grab my coat and slide my shoes on. However, just as I open the front door, I hear him. "Sarah," he screams. "Did you think that you can just leave without saying goodbye to your husband?" His eyes are glossy, and he's fighting rage. I swallow the lump that's been forming in my throat and hesitantly walk over to the table, bending to kiss him on his cheek. I inhale his foul aroma, wrinkling my nose, but planting a kiss on his unshaven face. Goodbye, Tom, I say, the smell of alcohol lingering on my lips. However, he isn't satisfied. He mumbles and attempts to kiss me, but I pull away. I wipe my mouth with my sleeve and turn to go, but he grips my arm tightly. You will not disrespect me, Sarah, he says, saliva misting my face. I nod, and his grip falters. He lets me go. I make it out of the house. Our neighbors, Paul and Lisa, greet me as I enter my beat-up white car. I offer a smile and a polite hello, the typical greeting. It's a smile I perfected. See, people don't ask questions when they see a smile. I pull out of the driveway and leave my window open, speeding to get to the liquor store before Tom finishes his almost empty glass. Even here in my car, away from Tom, he is all I think about. Worries pound in my brain as I think of Meredith. The almost empty glass controls me. If he doesn't have more, he will hurt someone, and usually it's me, but Mayor has been victim to his abuse too. We've become good at hiding the bruises, the problems. I say a silent prayer, hoping he hasn't touched her, hoping the lock holds, hoping she stays safe. I reach the liquor store, the cursed place that started this whole mess. I walk in, greeted by the cashier, George. He's used to seeing me here. I walk to the counter and I buy the usual. George doesn't know what it does to my family. He has no idea how truly evil this liquor store is. He just thinks we like our liquor, and I let him think it. As I hand over the money, he speaks, but I shut him out because I'm tired, worried, and anxious to get home. George casually says, "Bye, Sarah. See you tomorrow." I turn away, letting that sink in. I come here every day. I let all the money I make go towards Tom's addiction. I let my child suffer because I'm afraid that I'll need him somehow. I cover up bruises and shut out people because the liquid in his glass controls me. I make a plan to leave him tonight. I hop in my car with a new sense of urgency. I run the scenario through my head. I'll put some sleeping pills in his drink until he passes out, and then we'll pack up and leave. However, as I drive, I lose courage and ask myself, what ifs? What if it doesn't work? What if he catches me? What if? I lose whatever will I have for freedom. I grab the brown paper bag containing bottles of alcohol, and I go back inside the house where I am contained. It's a house for a broken family, where dreams go to die. It's a house where the foul smell of alcohol devours any happiness. It's a house where bruises thrive. It's a house full of forgotten items. It's a house for our family. It's a house with broken crayons.
I looked up online, have no idea who she is, but when I saw the drawing, or the photograph, it was just absolutely beautiful. The scarf was around her face and had a lot of good textures and good gradations of black and white. So actually I found out that I was going to be presenting it in an art show 2 days after that weekend, and it was due that Monday, and I started it that Friday night. So cumulatively, I probably worked on it for 2 days, and it really came together well. The scarf was probably the hardest part. The scarf around the face was probably the hardest part of the entire piece because it's so out of focus, but yet has to kind of show the textures without really like seeing a definite like flower in the corner. It doesn't look like a flower when you're drawing it up close, but then from far away you can see how all the textures work together to make that one image. So that was very difficult, but no, it was really fun to do.
The ad for my condo building read safe, secure, quiet building occupied by single, mature adults. It sounded perfect for me. Hey, neighbor! But it wasn't.
So I got this giant blow-up Santa for the front yard, and this elf guy that flops over in the wind and flashes you his striped skivvies.
Celeste was not quiet, secure, or adult. In fact, if you called her any of those things, she'd probably smack you.
The condo committee will love it.
They wouldn't. Trust me. Though none of the neighbors spoke out loud about it, we all knew that Celeste single-handedly dropped our property values by 23%.
Hi, honey. Welcome. Consider yourself at home. Consider yourself part of the family. You know it. Join in.
Hi. I know. Who are you?
Your neighbor.
She had a habit of yelling things. Barbara Lota and Ira Brodsky.
Put that box down and give your new neighbor a big bear hug.
Well,
Don't worry, I don't have lice now.
Oh.
I got him for volunteering at the homeless shelter.
Did she volunteer or live there?
So, why the change of locale? Leaving your husband?
What? No, what made you think?
Well, you look very healthy. They say single women are more healthy.
Well, I'm not married, and I think the healthy thing is just sweating.
Oh, a gift from your new neighbor.
Thank you. That's so... Dryer sheets?
I know. Most new neighbors welcome you with cookies or a fruit basket. But I don't know if you're diabetic or hate bananas, but you gotta do laundry, am I right?
Yes.
The box is open, but I only used one. Then my dryer broke. You mind if I use yours later?
Sure.
So where you from?
Harper Woods.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, I live there with my mother, and I don't think it's that strange at all.
Neither do I. I would
You
like
don't?
to live with my mom, too.
Oh, well, I'm hoping my mother gets settled into the nursing home. She has Alzheimer's, so...
Oh, well, who doesn't?
What? I don't know what possessed me. I hadn't even told my closest co-workers at the bank. Of course, I'm not all that close with them. But somehow, Celeste's reaction was oddly perfect.
Who doesn't have Alzheimer's? I mean, I go into a room, I came in for something, then I forgot what I came in for, then I forget I'm even in a room. Do you do that?
Oh,
Speaking of forgetting, Celeste H.E. Ralster. The H.E. stands for Polyester, not to be confused with polyester, which is a cheap fabric and not my name. Not that I'm not cheap. You?
Millie.
No, not your name. Are you cheap?
Occasionally? Celeste drove me crazy. She didn't chat, she chewed your ear off.
Ming Wu, I love your crab ragoon.
She played loud music and sang her own made-up lyrics with full voice at all hours of the night. And even worse, she quite frequently invited me to her cat's birthday parties. And just coincidentally invited weird single men. Melvin, Lewis, and Bull, all of whom she met at the local donut hole.
Okay, I know he's dull, but he's cute and he's a carpet salesman. I would not have invited him to Seymour's party if he was not multi-purpose. Go on a date, hun.
The funny thing is, somehow over the next year, Celeste had actually become my friend. She even drove with me quite frequently to see my mother. Turns out she had a real connection with...
Bingo, bingo, that lousy one starts screaming and waving her card in the air. She thinks she's a big shot handling 4 cards at once. But you can't handle 4 cards when you can't even remember your own address. Oh, you lump lard, what are you, blind? Can't you see it's green?
Well, maybe Bingo Lady is a bit jealous. I heard you talking with her guy, Eddie.
That is not her guy. But he's cute, isn't he?
Oh, Celeste, he's like 83 years old.
So, let's have a girls' sleepover on Saturday. We'll draw a dating plan.
A what?
It's a war, Millie. You need a strategy.
Well, I'm busy that weekend.
Did you say busy? With what?
Well, yeah, my Aunt Robin is lending me her cabin. I told you.
No, you didn't. Funny. Alone?
That was generally the idea, just because I wanted to catch up on some reading.
And you're going alone?
Of course alone.
Oh, I see. You need a little private time.
Celeste, that's not what I meant. I just figured you wouldn't want to be at this ski lodge, sleeping and reading and being quiet.
Why not?
Well, for one, you are not particularly quiet.
I'm quiet! Sometimes.
When? Celeste, I'm being serious. Here we'll be at the ski lodge with all these ski wear guys around. You're not gonna want to be restful and calm.
Oh, fine, sure. Okay, I understand. You need a little downtime.
Exactly. You'll come with me next time for sure.
Right. Oh, come on, please, 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 don't be so quiet.
Celeste, this is supposed to be a me weekend. For me, not you.
Fine.
We arrived at the cabin.
Look at that view.
Oh, yeah, it's gorgeous.
Not that one, the Ranger.
I finally settled into a deep cushioned chairs. I began to read.
Oh, you would not believe this hot chocolate. It's real stuff.
Celeste, I'm...
All right, shh, be quiet. Maybe I'll snooze.
Good idea.
I want to be all ready for our date.
Date?
It's just a couple of guys gonna take us skiing later.
Skiing? No, Celeste, read my lips. I want quiet.
Well, who says they won't be quiet? They're Indians. The guy I'd set you up with seems like the brooding type.
Great. You set me up with a quiet Indian.
Oh, they're not Indians. I don't know why I said that. They're from Indiana. I'm getting old.
Celeste, I just wanted some reading and quiet.
Oh, well, you can be quiet all day tomorrow. And all day before you ski. You can even be quiet while you ski.
Not when you don't even know how to ski. Sure, you can be all quiet until you go smacking into a pine tree.
Well, then things would definitely get quiet.
I draw the line at skiing.
Then you ski.
Yes, if it will let you leave me be for the rest of the weekend, I will.
Fabulous. Skiing it is.
It's funny. I'm not an outdoorsy person, but being at the top of the hill with Celeste gave me a new confidence. What? Oh, that is high.
That is not a bunny hill. There's nothing funny about that.
Just go back and forth like the instructor said.
Back and forth. I'd rather go straight.
You can't. You'll fly. You'll pick up speed and whip over the moguls.
Moguls doesn't sound good. Since when did you know so much?
Well, Jed gave me a few pointers.
Oh, who knew you liked the Indian?
He's not Indian. He's from Indiana. And I don't know yet.
Oh, fine, sure. Whatever. You like him. No, let's get off this hill, because I'm wet and cold, and I'm going to die on that pumped-up bunny hill.
That's ridiculous. Just practice. Just turn.
Turn? I can't even move. Oh, come on. Let's go back to the lodge and read a book in a big comfy chair.
I thought you wanted to ski.
I thought you wanted to read.
I did, but you dragged me here. We took a lesson, and now I want to ski down the bunny slope.
Fine.
It'll be fun. We'll count to 3.
Great. Can't wait. You count. We'll both go.
Great. 1, 2, 3. Push off. Hey!
It'll be fun. Just turn.
And it was fun, actually, because just 2 seconds later, a skier crashed into Celeste, plunging her quickly down the mountain. When all was said and done, Celeste had 2 bruises, a refund on her ski rentals, and a few potential dates. She's a lucky lady. I guess I am too. I only broke 1 leg.
Millie, I'm sorry. This weekend has been a complete disaster.
Well, not complete.
I know, and you broke your leg. You'll have to miss work, and I know it's my fault.
It certainly wasn't what I expected.
I know, and I know it's my fault. I'm a rotten, terrible...
Thanks.
Did you say thanks?
Yes, thanks. Before I met you, the days were predictable, but now I don't really know what to expect. And you know what? It's been good. Really good. Thank you.